Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show. Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Second Breakfast. And how you guys doing out there? Everybody having a great week? Mine's been busy as heck. All kinds of things going on in the background. See who we got. Anybody in chat? Not yet. Just started. So I started a new workshop in video form. Uh, Another world building talk. I want to focus on creating unique or at least new and interesting worlds that aren't the same old, same old. I could list 20 games that have come out in the last 5 years or less that really don't seem to offer anything new when it comes to fantasy role playing games. I did see a Kickstarter for, I should bring it up, the the new sort of 5e space opera neon something Kickstarter, three big volumes, a whole bunch of bells and whistles, and despite being 5e, and the art style being a little too cutesy for my taste, it still is trying to do something unique, something new and interesting in the way of space operas based on the I guess the 1980s style of space opera. Of course, the greatest of those being Flash Gordon, based on one of the absolute original space operas. So at least they've got their feet in the right direction. Whereas I'm not going to name names because that's just rude. Uh, I'm sure they mean well, but the latest fantasy RPGs and projects and things like that just seem kind of same old to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe the genre needs to be steeped in some sort of level playing field for everybody to be able to get on board. But I really think we could do better than that. What do you guys think? Anybody out there yet? Hey, Chris, what do you think? Welcome to the show. Hope you're having a great morning. I've got a couple of new minis that just showed up. I'd show them to you, but all you'd see is a little black blob. It's needs to be dry brushed and painted before you can really see it. But my cargo containers are looking pretty spiffy. Even got the Jackson seal of approval. Going to work on the back doors here. And for these, since they're facing inside the interior of the ship, I'm gonna try and keep them as clean as possible, just so that when they're hooked into the ship, they look, um, you know, clean. You know, uh, but I'm hoping that I didn't make a mistake, which I fear I may have, in the way they're assembled. I really hope I didn't put the doors upside down. That would suck. But like I said, I'm going to contact the woman who prints these out and see if I can't get more pieces to this ship. I was looking at the instructions last night and the pieces, and it's really not very big. It's almost. I mean, even though it's like about this big, maybe about 2 feet long, it still seems just not very imposing, and that's really what I want. I was thinking as I was looking also at some Dwarven Forge sci-fi pieces and some other terrain that uh, sci-fi really, when it comes to interiors, outside scatter terrain and little buildings that you can't go in that are just to hide behind and things like that, really get the lion's share of sci-fi terrain other than Dungeons and Lasers, and they haven't made a new sci-fi piece in 5 or 6 Kickstarters, which means like 5 or 6 years or more. And to me, that's really really depressing. Even though the new Kickstarter coming out, the Dusk Hollow, looks freaking amazing. It's sort of Transylvania themed Kickstarter with a playable Baba Yaga's hut that you can actually look inside and put minis in and stuff. It's not very big. It's probably only about 6 by 6 inches interior. And really not a lot of room to run around and fight, but you could always have a door that leads into the rest of Baba Yaga's hut. Because it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, kind of thing. As per the old D&D uh, write up in Dragon Magazine, which I did have, I might still have, but I was never really into that mythology for whatever reason. And it's got uh, it's got actual round walls like tower walls, which we've been asking for since around year one, and they said, "Oh, we can't do it, can't do it." Then we got the caves with rounded interior walls, and now we're getting Dusk Hollow with rounded exterior walls, so you can make castles that look realistic and not all just squared Lego sort of constructs, as well as like built-in secret door walls and trap walls with some moving parts. It really is amazing, and I believe it's going to be pre-painted or have a pre-painted option, which I highly recommend for those of you, unless you're really into painting walls. And as a as a professional house and commercial painter, you can see I don't do that anymore because it gets real boring real fast. Let them do the work. Let their machines do the painting for the walls and the doors and all that crap, and save your talent, your inspiration, and your fun for painting of the miniatures and the monsters. What's up, Hungar? Uh, I'd like to say that your stuff will be in the mail soon, but it won't. You and one other person or a couple other people are getting their stuff directly from Archon. Sorry, oh my God, Emperor's Choice. So your stuff's going to have to wait on their production uh, schedule, but you'll still be getting some pretty spiffy stuff. You did rather well in the giveaway. Not as good as Grim. Oh my God, the box I'm sending him, I could almost fit like two or three other packages inside because he won so much free stuff, and I had a couple of little items that I had promised him for you know other reasons. Who just popped in? Dun, 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 dun. Oh my God! Well, look what you
Buddy,
tagged in. How you doing, man?
I figured I would grace you today.
Oh my stars and garters! What must I have done to be such a good lucky boy?
You're
How the hell
just
are you?
awesome. You're awesome.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. One of the only reasons I'm doing this is because you're not. I
I know.
miss your show. Your show, you did it better than anybody else. Um, just saying, man. Those are some fun times. A lot of laughs. Miss them every morning. When I do this, I'm like, Hungar should be here. Wouldn't be doing this if freaking Hungar was doing this. I'd rather be doing it over on your channel.
That's what
Uh,
James was telling Mike yesterday. Mike Dermott.
I missed that, and I'm really sorry I can't be on your brother's show as often as I like, or Bears. I just I have a lot of stuff I have to do, and I'm not getting it done if I'm on a live stream with your brother or Bear. I do this early as early as I can literally do it because of the boys' schedule, and then after an hour or maybe two, then I'm off to work, either writing or drawing stuff for upcoming projects or on the phone with collaborators and things like that. And I was getting nothing done, a couple months ago, just like nothing. And you know, life's too short.
Yeah, that's what I tell you straight up. I liked doing my show until it seemed like it was a job.
It never seems like a job getting to hang out with folks like you and Chris and Omen and Mike and Bear and James and all the you know Dean and George and all those guys. It never seems like that, but after a while, I feel a little guilty. I got I got crap I got to do, a house I got to run, and projects, writing projects that I need to do, or finish, I should say. Uh, you know,
And I ain't got shit I need to do.
see that just makes it worse because you could just be hanging here, being the most popular guy on the interwebs, and not being able to go outside because people would be hounding you, and paparazzi would be outside waiting to take your picture, and king of the world, man.
I really doubt that, homie.
Well, that's why we love you so much, because you are so humble and so down to earth, like your brother. So what have you been doing? Just chilling,
Yeah,
living the dream. What's going on?
eat, eating,
Just eating. Okay, so
having breakfast right now.
I was gonna say you got a target weight goal you're striving for if all you're doing is eating. Just saying.
No, right now I'm eating. Lately, I just been hanging out, playing video games, watching TV, working out some.
Well, that's good. That's really good. I wish I could get motivated to do that. I've never been a fan of that. I've done it, many times. But I tend to only be able to do that like when it's really really hot outside. The idea of doing it in the winter, uh, during the winter, all I want to do is eat and sleep. That's it.
I'm opposite. During the winter, I want to get out and be active. During the summertime, I just want to like vegetate in the cold room.
Yeah, I grew up, at the beach. So summertime, that's where a guy like me is supposed to be, at the beach, checking out the bikinis, checking out the waves, doing that sort of thing.
Bloodworth. The link is in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll just put it here. Sorry, I didn't change over from uh,
Yeah, I'm
the
from
let people.
Florida, dude. I know how it is for the summertime. That's why I'd rather be hiding in the cool air.
There you go, Bloodworth. Just you can just grab it from here. As long as I can see your face in the green room backstage, I will let you in. Otherwise, I have to be careful of weirdos. I was
Full
saying
frontal
yesterday.
nudity.
I was saying yesterday. I don't. Not saying I want anybody to do this to anybody else, but I'm like, why me? Why did I get the weirdos back in the day? And people like, let's say like Max Liao or Double D. None of those guys ever got that treatment. Of the pervs or whatever you want to call it. Um, not saying I miss it or want it back. Just did I just attract that sort of people or something? Don't answer that. Um, you know what I mean, though. The link's right there, Bloodworth.
That was wrong.
It was, and it scarred several of our guests for life. Um, and I'm glad you want to join this morning, because I got your thing this morning, and that's actually one I wanna jump in on and take a bite out of that one. I watch a lot of people like Tenkar and Joe the lawyer and those guys, and how they go back and forth and build each other up, and uh, I really really dig how they do that, and how well that's worked for people like Joe the lawyer. I remember when Joe started out after me, and he's like shot off riding Tenkar's coattails, with that support. You can't do that either. Why? Um, Something come up? That's cool. I get that. If it's a tech issue, I'll look into it. But Bloodworth, I can do that one. I do the same thing. You know that. Other than a few new games that come out by people I actually know, and then I will buy their product and then review it. Regardless, if I buy it, I'm going to probably review it. There are very few games that I bought, and I went, yeah, I'm not reviewing that. And then there's a few. Uh,
No, that sucks, Bloodworth. It's always a joy to visit with you.
so you only have the link when you're driving. That's how it kind of sounds. Uh, it's open, if things change, but yeah, I don't. Oh, because you are driving. Okay, that makes more sense. What do you call it? I reviewed, probably a good couple of hundred games over the years, and there are a few that I didn't review that I did buy, but I just, it was kind of like, yeah, no one's going to care, but eventually, I'll probably run out of material and I'll go back to those as well. Going, hey, it's now old school because I bought it 10 years ago. I'm really jazzed. I don't know if you saw yesterday. I was able to actually make a purchase from drive-through, just no problems whatsoever. All the issues. Maybe they realized that they were throwing away thousands of dollars a year by not letting me buy products and then review them for free. Um,
Why were they not letting you buy products?
they just said that my bank was not connecting to their services, which my bank was never actually even being pinged with the purchase request, or however that works. Because I'd be on the phone with my bank saying, "Hey, is anything coming through?" And they're like, "No, nothing, not a thing." And I'd make a purchase on eBay before I'd start the process to make sure my card would work. Go to drive through, try to buy something. They said your bank is declining this transaction. I call, on the phone. No, and they'd say, no, no, we're not, because we don't care. Uh, it says, but it's a Turkish on my agenda. My cell phone doesn't have access to Discord, and when I try to load up Stream, it's not working on my cell phone either. It's on my end. So yeah, no worries, man. You're always welcome on the show. Um, as are the other folks out there who know who they are. If they want to come and hang out, feel free. Surprised I haven't seen Omen in a while.
He's probably at work.
Yeah, but every once in a while he does pop in. I also haven't seen James all week, which is uh,
He did two streams yesterday.
I saw he did one like really late.
Hmm.
I'm like, what are you doing, man? You freaking maniac! I was I don't know what I was doing, but I certainly couldn't
He
stream
did
at the
one
time.
before Double D and then one after Double D.
I watched a good portion of Double D. Of course, as soon as Salty Cracker comes on, I'm going over there. It's funnier, it's more fun, and it's I have never missed a Salty
It's called
Cracker
the
live
Cracker.
stream. I've never missed a live stream, a show, or anything he's ever done, ever. I was watching him when he had like almost literally fewer subs than I did, and that kid, mind you, he's 50 now. Uh, just one of the funniest guys I've ever seen. His style is so goofy, and you'd never guess that he's almost 50. You know, I guess all that cocaine, keeps you young, or
Yeah.
something. But plus a lot of the stuff on Double D is just not my thing. I could really go off on people like they do. Uh, People ruining the hobby and stuff like that, and I'm like, it just you know just gives me an ulcer being that kind of negative.
I'd rather be all happy and go lucky and fun.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that
and the
keeps
show
me.
Double D show's fun, but it's long, and it eventually gets into that mode. Like Max Liao used to do the same sort of thing, and I was part and parcel to it, and I feel ashamed for some of the things I've done and said over there, but I'm trying to,
That's what she said.
right. So, hey, have you given any thought to finishing those projects of yours, or are they just like back burner indefinitely?
Back burner, but not indefinitely.
Because I know, like, the comic book idea, we know so many people uh, that could really that not only would love to help you with it, but could really get it off the ground, and if money was an issue, a couple of guys who'd probably chip in.
It's not off the table. It's just, put aside for now. I'm working on me right now.
Yeah, I can see that with the working out and things like that. I mean, you're doing. Oh, almost dropped a mini into the wild blue yonder. You're doing magnificently, all things considered, and you know, I just don't want like it to not get done. The comic book seems like such a freaking great idea, and it would be a shame to you know.
Yeah, right now I'm just trying my best to, stay out of the hospital.
I hear you. I hear you. A lot of people we know, and that's only going to get worse, as time goes on. In and out of the hospital, or starting to go that route. Old age is a bitch, and
Oh, and I'm going up to my parents tomorrow.
for Mother's Day.
Yeah, and my brother and his wife's going to be there.
Oh, nice family reunion.
Yeah, James is going to be in Kentucky.
Man, it's going to be hard to get him back to Florida. I bet you.
No, his wife would be like, let's go home. And he'd be like, okay.
Right arm. Yeah, I'm not capable or able to do anything like that. We have Jackie's mom's family over here all the time. It's the closest I'm ever going to get. My family, they don't exist, and I'm not looking forward to reuniting with them where they are, if you know what I mean. Not
Yeah,
yet. Maybe someday. The ones that make it to the good place. The ones that don't make it to the good place, they're shit out of luck, and I'm not visiting them there.
yeah. Well, no.
But it gives me more time to do other things, which I need to kind of take advantage of. I've got 3 writing projects plus 2 games I want to run, if not create. It really depends. I bought this game that Cold Iron showed me. It's a basically a Venture Brothers game, and I was trying to write one, and I'm like, well, shit, if it already exists, here comes trouble. Bubba, 2 days in a row, man. How you doing?
Hey, Bubba.
Hey, Hostile. How you doing?
Just chilling out.
Huh?
Just chilling out. How you doing?
Getting by, bud. Getting by.
That's
I,
all
I, I
I'm doing, dude.
watched both your videos yesterday. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. You and Salty Cracker, like 2 people. I doesn't matter what I'm doing. Put up a video. I'm watching it. The equipment video. I was like, shit. How did I not think of that? Then I started thinking about the battering ram. Like you know how our SWAT team and those guys, they have that little one. It's not even that big.
No. Always, if I get to 5th level and I'll play like a magic user or something, I'll have like 6 hirelings or 6 minute arms, and 4 of them are carrying a battering ram. That way you can just knock the door open.
And the DM can't do shit about it except, the one thing you said. Not going to give any DMs any ideas. Which, I mean, that should happen from time to time. Maybe even one whole dungeon is that way, but on average, the doors should just come flying open.
The only thing DMs can do is just kill your henchman.
Dude, yeah, I got the guy on Sunday, Joe. He fucking murders my hirelings like left and right. It's like they're being threatened by these fighters, and he's taking out my hirelings just because. I get it. I get it. Force multiplier.
Yeah, but um, I found something that I do now, um, which is I keep track of shit. Like I was running in Blood Wars game. I'm running this assassin, and I could not hit shit. I mean, literally, my hit ratio was 1 in 10. Okay, no matter what I was using, because he's got a strength bonus and a dex bonus, decent, like +2, right? Um, and even with sometimes a bless, with a bless, a backstab, or a flank, and I still couldn't hit shit because I'm first, second, third level assassin. My hit matrices in Dragon Slayer are shit,
Everybody's
but
that
because
base attack bonus for a non-primary attacker is
Mhm.
best to have is a +4 as an assassin.
same as Castles and Crusades and a bunch of other games. But as soon as I started keeping track, right now I'm finally at fifth level. I'm hitting half the time. Before it was 1 in 10, then 1 in 8, then 1 in 6, 1 in 3, and now I'm up to roughly one. Almost, it's more like one in uh,
What were you
just a
attacking?
little bit less. What?
What were you attacking with?
Either a short bow with my dex bonus or a +1 longsword.
Okay. It's all situational modifiers with Dragon Slayer. So you need to get high ground and point blank with that bow, and you will be landing all the time. So you want to get in that 15 foot and get your ass up elevated. And then with the
I've actually done a bit of that. Hey, Owen, we were just talking about you. I guess unlike Beetlejuice, we only have to mention you once or twice. Uh, but back to the door breaker, I could see players having the blacksmith cast a, let's say, less than 4 foot long solid metal battering ram with built-in cast iron, like molded in handles.
like a two man one, yeah. One man with no argument, right? There's no argument. It's four dudes with a batting ram that cost me 200 gold pieces on a normal dungeon door with a ring. Boom, done. What you come into headaches with portcullises and stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
that takes a little bit more time and stuff.
Yeah, I had this back in the day. I had this Adam 12 lunchbox, right?
Yeah.
And on one of the images of the lunchbox was the Adam 12 guys, and a kid who got his head stuck in a like a fence with metal bars, like a portcullis, right? And it showed them in the picture using a car jack to spread the bars.
Yeah.
Or 250
Okay,
foot
we want one of those. We want one of those in our toolkit, right?
50 foot ropes. If you got 4 bars, right? You take on the outside and to the end, and you put the 50-foot ropes and you twine them. You keep cranking them, and you'll spread the ones in the middle enough for your halfling to get through at least. Depends how they describe their portcullis. So if it's like a tic tac, none of that works.
Mm-hmm.
You got to saw it off like saws.
Yep.
So you can saw, and you're just there forever. It's like 6 hacksaws. Yeah. But once you start dying, the DMs have to just throw their hands up, right? So you got a bunch of dwarves. I play a dwarf, a party of dwarves. So what if it takes 6 hours? So what if it takes a week? We're going to take that door off its hinges because we're dwarves. 700 years. What's a week? We thought, first said we're dungeon delving and we get to do construction stuff. Yay!
I'm a dwarf, and I get to do dwarf stuff.
You get to do
Oh
dwarf
no!
Dwarves are made for the mega dungeon, man.
Well, that's the trick in it. Even I've heard even in-person games, folks noping out of the mega dungeon, and despite all my talk about role play better, Shauna this, Shauna that. Crap. I love me some freaking dungeon crawl. I cut my teeth at a place that had ping pong tables with big gridded out plastic coated, dry erase marker tables back in the early 80s. So we could just draw whatever freaking dungeon we want, making it up as I go along for hours and hours, days on end. I could even leave my map, set up on the board, just drawn out, and I could leave it knowing full well that no one would touch it when I came back because I worked there, and they would, heads would roll if anybody had fucked with my dungeon, and I could just leave it there till the players return the next day, and we could keep on going. Summer vacations were go to the unicorn's lair, play, go home, sleep, shower, go right back. I mean, we would be back at the place before it opened because I had the keys.
I've got one thing to say about that. If you're playing a dwarf and you're bitching about going into a dungeon, you're not playing a dwarf. You're playing a short human.
And
Mm.
if they do that, they're just like, I want to be the different
Um,
dwarf. Dwarf who
oh
loves.
man, I kind of disagree. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Issue with mega dungeons is they can get boring because you aren't going anywhere. Um, Two things. One, you got to make the dungeon interesting with other features. Dripping water, potential, possibility of flooding, or carbon monoxide or some shit coming in, or what you're encountering and new and crazy creatures, and treasure. If the treasure level isn't up to a certain point, and you feel like you're just going room to room to room, fighting, kobolds and goblins and not doing anything, cool. But for a lot of folks,
Treat it
you
as a
know,
living dungeon, man. The living
you know,
dungeon. Favorites is
uh,
Stone. It's another good one.
if the GM, is parsing out treasure at a certain pace, that everybody's excited each time they find some treasure, and that there are things besides just room monster, other challenges, the rope bridge across the chasm, the other kinds of traps and situational hazards. Maybe it's a lava river or freaking regular river with sea critters in it, or different things, or maybe you've done so many that to you they are a slog. But I haven't done one since Caliban, and
It's,
that's like
it's
2 years.
if people are getting bored running a dungeon, it's not the dungeon, it's the GM.
Solid.
Because you can get just as bored running around in a wilderness or anything else. If you don't have an engaging story going on, then you're not going to have an engaging game.
Yeah, factions are fun if they make sense, but it could just be one faction has this particular level, maybe another faction has the next level, or whatever. Talking creatures and role playing those encounters are a lot of fun, but sometimes players don't want to do that. They just want to kill the shit and take their stuff because they can. you know and they the whole idea that you could talking does no good because your DM's going to just fuck you that way, needs to stop. um I find it actually amusing if I get that sort of grumbling from players in a game. I i go out of my way. I'll make them fucking breakfast in bed, man. Every NPC is going to be their best buddy just to make them look overly paranoid. Um, because if you think about it, after a certain point, the player characters might be the freaking world's equivalent to celebrities, right?
Depending on
And
their
yeah, right, and everywhere they might go, they might be like, "Oh my gosh, it's the adventuring heroes! Yay! Thank you for coming to our town." And everybody's bending over backwards, kissing their ass. Maybe there might be that one shifty guy who's trying to get a little extra coin out of them. What? No big deal.
See,
So
your game's different than mine because usually my players are shitbirds of the town. Oh God, it's those guys. What the hell? What do they want now?
well, maybe Mhm.
Yeah, those guys are kind of dicks. Don't trust them. They're going to try to
Mhm.
screw you over with your stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. So if
I
if
think you
if
get
if
better players than we do, though, Shadwell.
well, I do pull from people we all know and people that are on YouTube quite a bit, one way or the other. So they do tend, some of them, not all of them. I've had some really crappy ones recently, um, but they tend to put their best foot forward and not try to be the scoundrel, the shysters,
You
those
can't
guys.
you can't trust that because, like, one of the players that I used to play with all the time, we call him the game killer. Bubba knows him. Bubba knows him. Um, yeah, I've known this guy for 20 plus years, and like he was always Captain Chaos at the table. Yeah, and did he ever try to take over running the game? Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere down the road, you're gonna have to tell me who that person is so I can avoid them
Oh,
like the
his
plague.
name's Mike, and you never meet him.
Okay.
We had a game of Battle Mech Warrior going on, and it was like the funnest game we had played and for like ever. Some of the greatest lines in the history of role playing came out from fumbles and stuff. Like my one buddy walks up to a chick and offers her a drink, and James is like, "Okay, make you know a seduction roll," and he rolled a critical fail. So out of the blue, he's like, "Hey, baby, want a drink?" It's called the leg spreader, right? People were just playing their characters and having fun, and
Uh huh.
then Mike ran the game one time and it died,
Like permanently?
like permanently.
That's fucked up. Yeah. Hmm.
Because we've all met Bubba. We know that he'll let any weirdo in his house. That's what she said.
Yeah. See, I'm. I nobody comes in. I don't invite people in my house for a bunch of
Said,
different
well, you
reasons.
know, you would let me in your house.
I might literally rent a completely different house and you'd never know. Um,
Wow, I thought we were bros and shit.
uh, of course, I'd let you into my house, Hungar. And you too, Bubba.
Speaking,
Omen, I'm not so sure. Dean, absolutely. I'm just fucking with you guys. It's not a you, it's a me. Sometimes a house is a disaster. Sometimes it's spotless, and it really just depends on
you know
Uh,
who a true bro is? The dungeon minister is a true bro. He's like, Hungar, you ever make it up to Claricon, you're staying with me, buddy. See, he's a
I've
weird.
had a few offers like that as well, and I do appreciate it. One of these days, I will
Dad
get you.
was like, I rent a different house just so you don't know where I live because I don't like you.
You know, it has nothing to do with that. If like every once in a while, I will just not feel like doing any house cleaning, and if Grandma's not here, I'll just wait until I gotta, you know.
I live with two 20-year-old boys. You think we ever do any house cleaning? Sometimes when my wife comes home, like last night, the kitchen and the bathroom was clean because the wife will be home today.
Hmm.
I don't want her to know that we're living in complete and total filth and that we're
Yeah, no, it's not. It's never that bad, but I have
and that we're scum
you
people.
know, just sometimes I just like, oh no, I don't want people seeing that, and then there's uh, other considerations like sometimes Jackie will take things off the walls, pictures and images that he doesn't want people to see when he has his friends over, like my red hats and things like that, you know. Um, hmm You know, oh God, not just that though. Um, they're lazy in a lot of other ways, and I'm just like, what the shit? How? We've got three separate bathrooms, and mine's the cleanest. The wife has got. I mean, the wife's counter, looks like a freaking alchemy freaking station. I mean, there are literally hundreds of bottles of God knows what, right? And the downstairs bathroom, which is mine, but it's also the guest bathroom. If like my electric toothbrush is out, or one thing too many, she's like freaking out, and I'm like, you fucking hypocrite! I've seen your bathroom. There's no room. There's no room to set my electric toothbrush on her bathroom counter. It's that. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah, it's not focusing, but okay.
You guys are dorks.
I'm doing some bases for these uh, airships that I picked up, 12 mil scale. Yep. Dean, I can hear him just fine.
Here, who?
Bubba.
Yeah,
His just audio noise. His camera is more janky than his voice from my end.
they both work perfect for me. You guys are just weird.
Well, I mean, you guys are like practically next door neighbors, so there's that.
Oh no, I've been poisoned.
Okay, he'll be back shortly.
I've been
See that? Oh
poisoned,
shit.
Sidewell.
We got Bubba and we got Dean. Welcome
Hey,
to the
what's
show.
up,
Hello,
Dean?
and Baba is on the stream itself is not back here for some reason. No idea why.
How you doing, Dean? Long time no see, buddy.
I'm doing all right. Turns out I've been in my quest to live healthier. I've done a small mistake. I didn't salt my food, so not eating food from work, not eating chips, not eating pistachios. Apparently, I've gotten too little salt, and that's
Oh,
why I was
dude,
and that's
Yeah.
why I've been feeling stressed like the last 3 weeks or so.
I
Hey,
was
Grandma.
hospitalized Tuesday because my blood pressure dropped down to 77 over 40 and I
Wow.
almost passed out. So I go to the hospital and they do my blood work, and it's because my blood pressure was running high, so I cut salt out of my diet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You get over.
And the sodium, I was so low on sodium that they had to run extra sodium IV fluids through me because I don't absorb freaking electrolytes anyway. That my sodium dropped so low that it was making it where I was drowning to death
Oh, wow.
because
That does not
I had
sound fun.
too much
They don't
water.
have you on ice or anything.
So I started eating salt again.
1,200. You got 1,200 a day. 1,200 milligrams.
Yeah, you got to have sodium.
Because cap. That's something you need to have as a to function, right? But I don't.
Yes, Grandma, indeed. Balanced diets. I should learn from that, but my diet is terrible.
yeah.
Um,
How much sodium I've had today? 35 milligrams.
I have no idea. I just had some eggs and bacon and sausage, and I put salt on my eggs.
I'll
And
take it back.
bacon already had salt, and sausage has salt. So
Take that back. It's probably 55 because I had 2 cups of coffee. 2 cups of coffee.
and
Coffee is about 20 milligrams. And then
Yeah, for salt, I usually just have like a bag of Celtic salt. Not the brand, but like from that area of France. The brand I get their salt from.
we get that. I
I've
get
never heard of French salt.
Saint-Tien or something like that. This is called, and we use Redmond's. I think
Just
what?
the French salt's got to be white because it's got to be surrendering all the time.
it's got more minerals in it. The Celtic salt does. The we also use Redmond's a lot, but I got like 5 different types of salt in the house. We're like salt.
I have table salt and sea salt.
yeah, we've got the Himalayan and iodized. And we never use the iodized anymore.
No, we don't use that. We use that to scrub our damn cast iron. That's it. We got regular iodized with the little Morton chick. That's just to throw on our cast iron to clean them up.
Yeah, I apparently don't need iodine. I just need what do you call it? Better T4 to TC conversion to my body.
Yeah, we try to be healthy and cut down salt and find out that, hey, dumbass, you need it.
You overcorrected. That's all you did. You overcorrected. Like I'm not supposed to have as much salt as I do a day. I'm supposed to actually. It's a 1,200 milligram is a quarter teaspoon of salt a day. That's it. But I found out that once I went to just 2 meals a day, it was easier to do.
Yeah, I can't do that. I used to.
I have an orange.
I've got to have something in my stomach every X amount of hours, or I just like it's like almost painful feeling in my gut.
Oh.
Yeah.
What kind of food? Like you said, like a high-fat food, high-sugar food, or what kind of meal is it you prefer?
It really doesn't matter anything.
Okay.
Even if it's just like a couple of crackers, or a piece of cheese or something like that. And it's not like an acid pain. I've had that before, where I've had to just constantly intake, something like bread every couple of hours just to keep like the
I have
acid
a
level
question, Shadwell. Let me ask you a question. Were meals infrequent when you were growing up?
No.
You had meals, 3 meals a day all the time?
Oh yeah. Never once had other than right before I met you guys, I was like, I kid you not, my diet was I would have a tiny bag of Fritos for breakfast, coffee all day, and then a very small dinner.
Yeah,
And
that
that
sounds
was-
good for you. Although
It
I
was.
will say the coffee, it's fine. Basically, yeah. caffeine has good things in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, my only advice is like before you do any big intervention, just occasionally like have a glass of orange juice.
Unless you
You
got
mean
both.
freshly squeezed, not that sugar.
That's up to you. As long as it's orange juice, it doesn't matter. Okay, freshly squeezed is preferred as always,
Mhm.
but it doesn't need to have like the flesh or like stringly bits in it.
It doesn't
Just
need the pulp.
there we go. Thank you. Yeah,
Oh,
people always look weird at me when I say it doesn't need the flesh.
thanks.
Yeah, everything that's called orange juice in our country is absolutely terrible for you unless you do it yourself home with oranges. It's
Fair
just
There
enough.
are
full of shit that's just
there are
poison.
brands you just gotta look for them. And typically they cost 1.5 times more than regular orange.
I've never. Uh, I don't. I just don't trust it. I have no problem squeezing oranges or lemons to make that sort of stuff. If you got the right tool, it takes you a little while. Because I used to do the lemon juice and apple cider vinegar every morning.
Oh
Uh,
god,
I know it's freaking
honey,
the
it's
worst.
so rancid. It's like that in the honey and the oh shit, the herbs. But I tried that for a while, man. It was just too noxious. It was just too much.
Did you know that life
absolutely-
never? Did you know that life never gives you lemons?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we bred them ourselves.
Yeah, people gave you lemons, so blame those assholes and throw something at them.
Blame the God Emperor of Man. He probably was there to see it happen.
No, the God Emperor of Man, never blame him. He's the God
That'd be
Emperor.
Harris.
We love the God Emperor.
Do we though?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, let's not go into a theological debate about a fictional character.
Yeah, I never met the guy, so I don't know.
The Emperor protects.
Emperor protects. I
Yes,
played
yeah.
45
I
pages.
never know which emperor people are talking about either. So there's that.
Usually the 40k one. No one
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually know who's the emperor is in fantasy.
yeah, he can suck it.
Well,
You could
that's
suck
Harris.
it.
Hey,
Hello.
let's get off planet first.
Off planet first. You're not fully dedicated. You want to be there when the bombs drop.
Dad was getting the exterminatus.
Besides having heard that heresy, I don't know if I can leave planet side. Ugh. Crazy. I wouldn't mind doing an orc horde again. It's just so expensive.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go to an FLGS, the local ones, and deal with all the 40k players. I think I'd rather pull my toenails out.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty extreme.
Dude, there's something else. We got a bunch of historicals I can game with, but I just don't.
We've got a GW like within walking distance of my house, and we were there for the grand opening. We've been there in the last not quite 10 years, less than 10 times, and some of the things that they've done and said when we walked in the door, trying to hang out and stuff, have just been so incredibly unwelcoming that it's a wonder we ever go back. But
Nobody hates their customer base as much as Games Workshop.
I mean, the FLGS though ones they're real clicky. Like your local gaming stores, they're their own worst enemies sometimes. I mean, the Rusty Scabbard used to be that way, but they would just get busy, and we would drive all the way down to Lexington to go check out this damn place. And since we were outsiders, we didn't get that much help. So, but we go for the tournaments and take heads. That would be fun. But
cutting all sugar out will kill you too. They did that in a diabetic test study, and too many patients dropped dead in research study. Wow.
Yeah, basically what Grandma is talking about is under any circumstance, the human body produces carbohydrates to produce those to send energy around, to convert it to energy and send it around. Whether you only consume fat, carbohydrates or protein, the body will do that. And the shortest way to get those energy is through carbohydrates. Of course, you still need fats for like other things, and like protein for like muscle synthesis and so forth. But like yeah, cutting out what do you call it, carbs has its own disadvantages. Like you will lose a lot of water weight, but then you also will strain the body a little, like after a week or so, because converting fat into energy is a secondary pathway or something, but the body does when it's resting through the muscles.
All right, well, guys, I'm going to bounce out of here. I got some stuff I got to take care of.
All right. Say hi to everybody for us.
Yeah, I got to clean my room because my wife will be home tonight and my room's a mess.
He doesn't want that spank.
Or maybe he does.
Maybe I do want to.
Or maybe he needs space to spank her.
Exactly. You got it right, Dean. All right, guys. It's good to see y'all.
You too, Hungar. Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Later, bro.
Bye.
Man, I broke one of my own rules. 2 doors open behind me.
Shame on you. I don't have such a rule because if I close that door, the dog will invariably want that door open. Right now, he's asleep on the floor, but your brain is fat. You call my brain fat.
Your brain is made of fat.
I know. It just that's what I saw, so it looked funny, until I read the rest of the sentence.
You're a fat brain.
Well, yeah, that is true, Grammar. That's why restricting, what do you call it? Well, fat in itself, and also, what do you call it? Cholesterol. You shouldn't eat too little of that. Also, because dietary cholesterol turns out is not the one that ends up in the blood. That's the cholesterol you produce yourself. Yeah. But yeah. So.
Yeah, I have no gas. I don't cut out carbs. I don't cut out anything, honestly, except fruits and vegetables. It seems it's like I can barely remember the last time I had one of either.
You can get some scurvy, bro.
Oh, okay.
Arr! He's working on that pirate life. He's shooting for the scurvy. Eat some Cara oranges, man. They're my favorites. Or some.
No, I eat a lot of. I do eat grapes and pineapple. I had pineapple on my pizza last night. I know, heresy.
I don't care much. My opinion about pineapple pizza is I don't like baked fruit, but you're welcome to have it.
Yeah.
What about like a cherry pie or peach cobbler?
Unfortunately that tastes like baked fruit, so I don't like it.
Wow, really? No strudel or something like that?
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird. Which is ironic because I like sweet tasting things, but baked sweet, like baked fruit, just doesn't work.
Okay. Have you ever had a deep fried apple pie, like from a fast food place?
No, but I have an apple pie and also apple cake, and again, it has the same effect that I don't like the taste of baked.
You know what?
Fruit.
The next time I make caramel, my dump cake, my apple dump cake, I have pictures of it. Just pure malice.
Oh, you're welcome to send me a picture.
Food. I'll make a monster dump cake. It's this caramel freaking apple dump. I need to make.
Sounds pretty good.
It's way too much, man.
By the way, what's the dump part? Because I only heard dump in 2 cases. One is like, a dump of trash, like you dump something, and the other one is a woman's posterior. So what is a dump cake?
Dump cake is just, instead of making it all like you end up putting the cake filling over top. You just dump it all together. Basically mixing the fruit and mixing it up as a base, and then dumping a cake mixture on top, diced up lots of caramels and lots of them. And then it just dumped on top. Basically, it's a big fucking mess, but it comes out so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have
Sounds
picture.
good. Yeah, I stopped taking mine
They
for a
don't make
while because I could have swore they were making me feel like shit.
Vitamins can do that depending on what it is.
I
you
was
take
just
too
taking
many
like a regular generic multivitamin every day, and
half of them. I'm
yeah,
taking.
I literally like I've become so insanely untrustworthy of all things health related. Uh, because of the thing that happened, and now they're trying to do it again with the rat, version
Antivirus
from the
from
yeah, yeah,
contact.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
The
like,
thing that supposedly aren't supposed to. It can only happen animal to human, and now they're saying it happens to human to human.
mhm.
Squints.
If it's bio,
Well, yeah, and the mysterious theft of like 12 vials from an Australian, research center, and blah blah blah. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm watching everybody go, "Fuck you! We're not doing the thing again. We're not doing the thing again." And I'm like, that could be exactly what the bad guys want, is for everybody to like, knee jerk reaction, thanks Eldred, kind of like the boy who cried wolf. Oh great, now they're going to resist the vaccine, we've got them right where we want them, kind of like, oh, you can't win for losing kind of situation. um just fucking sick of the shit on a non-stop basis. What do you guys think of the UFO disclosure nonsense we've been getting lately?
I agree with you. Until the gut said they existed, then I'm like, it's all bullshit. Here, everything to the point now where how's that really going to affect me? If there are actually aliens, what's it matter?
Mm-hmm.
To quote the whitest guy, wait, are we invading Iran today?
Yeah,
I mean, I know we did, but
we
already,
did.
but the joke still holds up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
No,
those are the exact opposite of the things I do, Omen, and I need to fix that. But I've just been going through the winter, like today. No, excuse me. Yesterday was the first day we had over 60-degree weather, so my body has been in winter mode for an extra month or two.
Uh,
Um, when it's cold, I'm not doing shit. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna sleep, and I'm gonna hang out with you guys, and that's about it.
yeah, I'm the
Um,
same way. I started walking in the mall, but now I can't drive down the mall for at least another month.
but
I'll get off.
yesterday it was like 75, 80 degrees, and I'm like, okay, now, and I actually, I went and did some yard work and stuff like that. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't like doing this. I was just like subconsciously just doing it. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, normally, like my wife would have to ask me to do the thing,
yeah.
or I'd have to go. Oh, it's looking pretty shaggy. I got to mow the lawn, and I just like like I was possessed to do a little bit of yard work yesterday. For no frick. I mean, it needed to be done. It was just spraying the weed spray in the front and the backyard and the sidewalk. I was even doing the blacktop. That's not even my property out, the road. I'm like, what the fuck?
Curb appeal, baby.
you know.
At 2 o'clock.
But,
I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. Okay.
see you
Good
later,
luck.
Bubba. Take care. Good luck.
Later.
But yeah,
Let's
that
see.
that sounds good, Shadow. But yeah, for exercise, you don't really need much. I know, like, walking around in your area, maybe it's not that a good idea considering it's a desert, but like, just like lifting some weight a little bit or doing some deadlift or the like is enough. You don't need to do much.
Hmm. Yeah,
Or you don't even need to aim, what do you call it, to build muscle. You just need to be active. And you
hmm
don't,
hmm
technically, you don't need cardio. You just need to keep your muscles active.
yeah. I like, like if I'm like the wife always wants to like go for a walk, and I'm like, I've seen the neighborhood, thousands and thousands of times. Let's go do something. Let's go somewhere like the swap meet, the mall, grocery shopping, whatever. Let's like actually get something done. My brain won't register that I'm exercising and
Yeah.
I'm actually, getting stimulus. Maybe I'll buy something, maybe I'll find something that I didn't know existed. There's like a trade-off. I know it's kind of transactional, but mindlessly walking around and around in a circle, I'm like, I could just be at home in the treadmill. We've got one of those.
Yeah.
There's no actual fun in that, and my wife is just going to use it as a time to bitch and complain when Jackie's not around because he hates that.
Mhm.
And I'm going to
Uh,
be like, yeah, we're just going to get into an argument because like I'm already handling everything that needs to be handled. You just want someone to listen to you and say you're right, and I'm not that guy. Never going to be that guy. If you're wrong, I'm going to call you on it. And if I want to actually have a conversation, you understand like 1/3 of what I'm actually saying.
so I get where you're coming at, and Omenal is right that it is an excuse to talk. But yeah, you don't have to. What do you call it? Say she is right. You just want the talking part. She's a
Well, I can
woman.
use an
They
excuse
like
to talk. Yeah, yeah, I don't need that. You want to say something, I'm almost like just text me, just fucking text me. That way, you'll think about what you say before you say it. I'll have it in writing, and I can just go yes or no and be done.
Shadow.
Yeah,
She's a woman.
I
That's not how it
understand.
works.
I
I
under,
wish I know we wish it how it works, but like um basically women like getting help to process their thoughts by ranting.
yeah, but her thoughts are, dumb. Just do what I say. You'll be fine.
That is also a valid thing. Like, it's okay, honey. Nothing is wrong.
Yeah, but she just wants something to be wrong because she's so used to it with her own situation.
Ah,
Something's always wrong. Well, yeah, that's you, not everybody else. My son's not going to die if he has French fries cooked in oil, with dinner tonight. It's not going to kill him. He will learn to pick up after himself. He will learn how to do dishes someday. Just because he doesn't want to do it or do it now, that's an American teenager. Get used to it. He's not. It's not going to mean that he'll never be able to figure out how to use a fucking vacuum cleaner. You know what I mean? She's just like terrified
yes.
that he's never going to learn the things that we haven't like pushed because our parents pushed it on us. And I'm like, because we want our kid to have a better life. That doesn't mean he has to do all the shit that we did, to have a better life. No, I don't want him to have the life I had. I want him to have a better one. So I'm cutting out the shit that I don't want to do. He didn't have to do it. He'll have to do it someday, right? Uh,
That is definitely true, Omenau. Well, not that it is a problem. It's more like Shadow
just walk.
likes to talk about guy things, and he talk with them with us.
I love this, Chris. Yeah, walk in opposite directions. Yeah. Um, uh, dude, I talk to her all the time. That was probably her on the phone. I don't know. Um, and she's because of her situation, she's regressing. Her English is getting really really bad, and my ability to
Yeah,
spend the
like
time trying to learn Spanish is non-existent. I understand what I understand, but speaking it, fuck no. You came to my country, learn the fucking language. Uh, period.
and for my and only thing I can suggest is what I already suggest to you. That like she may need like a 5-minute protocol.
Hmm. Uh, it's she goes to the doctor like once a month, and then she'll go to doctors in Mexico, and they don't tell her the same shit.
That
And
is
like,
very normal.
and she'll do one thing one month and another thing the next month, and even though the thing was working, she's going to switch to this new thing, and then it stops working, and she wonders why. And I'm like, stick with what works, keep doing the same shit, and you'll know if it's not working.
Yeah. But yeah, you also have my condolences about your wife that her consideration digressing. Sorry.
Yeah, there's nothing. The very first time I met her doctor, which was when she was diagnosed, he literally said, "There's nothing we can do for you." That
And
was
that
a
is what
decade
they're
ago.
saying about lupus. The only thing they can really do is give you anti-inflammatories.
Hmm. Hmm. Grandma, it is, and I have done all the research. I knew 10 years ago what she should and shouldn't do, and she's literally doing everything she shouldn't do, and wondering why. And I tell her, this is what it says to not do. She'll still do it. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna like not do, yeah, I need one of those too, there, Eldrad. If she's not gonna do the things, what can I do? Sneak it into her food? No, because that would be because it's literally like not eating what I eat or what Jackie eats or even what her mom eats. It's literally she would literally have to eat nothing but fruits and vegetables for the rest of her life, and that's it. And she can't do that. She grew up Mexican, and tortillas and beans and rice and tomatoes, uh, and that's it. All the stuff that you like, you have to cut out literally. Oh, you're not
Yeah.
going to do that? Okay, well then you're going to be in pain, right?
I hope not. Are you in Mexico, perhaps, Wolfbane?
No, I mean I do what I can, but you know, and it doesn't help that her interests have, like my interests have not changed at all in life from before I met her to now. And she goes through these weird cycles. Like right now, she gets home and she's just watching Michael Jackson videos, like she's trying to learn every single aspect of his life since day one. I mean, I walk in, she's watching, of the Jackson 5 like story, and I'm like, nobody cares. Why are you watching this? It's like we went through that. I watched the guy grow up as a kid. I watched the show the whole bit, and I'm like, nobody in the house is gonna want to sit down and watch this. There's it's just weird.
I mean, there
And,
is two aspects to that. There is first, women do actually like to put their nose into other people's lives. Like it's a thing for them. And if they don't like have a larger village, which we usually don't have in modern society, they're gonna find an outlet for that. And the second thing is she's probably like going with something familiar.
but it's not. I mean, she didn't. They
Okay.
didn't. She grew up in Mexico. They didn't know who the hell Michael Jackson was. They had their own child star. Uh, I forget his name. He's still doing stuff. He grew up to be like a heartthrob. Kind of kid, and went in. And he's still doing the same thing. Uh, yeah, yeah. I can't do the vegetarian thing either. Uh, just almost the opposite. If it wasn't for, like corn and other things like that, um, I wouldn't eat any vegetables or any plants at all.
I mean, the only vegetables I really recommend people is carrots, and that's technically a root fruit. So,
Mhm.
well, not technically, it is a root fruit, not a vegetable. But yeah.
Yeah, I forget what there's a word for it. Not legumes, but or maybe I don't know. Yeah, she's having a hard time with memory as well. Uh, except for the shit that I do wrong. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't believe you. You can remember everything I've ever done wrong, but you can't remember how to say, certain words in English or, uh,
Again, that's because memory is contextual, unfortunately.
I know.
That's also why you can remember all your hobbies, but nothing in school sticks other than the schools are terrible. Because yes,
You are not
schools
wrong
are
there.
terrible. Because schools are terrible. But again, even when they're good, you still remember your hobbies better.
You shut your whore mouth, Omen. We do not add anything unhealthy. There is nothing wrong with vegetable oil or whatever fat or whatever you cook them in to get them crispy, and then the salt and then the ketchup. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Tubers. Okay, that's the word. Wait till she gets to the creepy stuff about him from the kids now adults. Yeah. I don't even go down that anymore. You know, most of me says if you're an adult and you have a freaking circus and a Ferris wheel and all that other crazy kid shit in front of your house, you're probably a pedo. But then everybody else says, "Oh no, it was just a conspiracy to ruin him and screw him out of money and shit like that." And I'm like, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. There was something creepy and weird about the dude. I didn't like him. There was a couple songs.
My take is that he was basically trying to regain his childhood. The problem is just
The
that's not a thing you can
implementation.
do. That's not a thing you can do.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean you can, especially like that. You know what I mean? Because like a Ferris wheel and a merry-go-round and all those like circus, rides, they're not for just one guy. You know,
Yeah,
if it was just one seat, okay. Yes, two things can be true. I think he was
hi
severely
Janet.
messed up and molested and abused, etc. Uh, but at the same time, I didn't really care for 99.999% of his music or the way he acted on stage or the way he performed or freaking dancing. Dudes aren't supposed to do that where I come from. That looked pretty freaking gay. If you're dressing up in sparkles, you are incredibly unmasculine and the end.
Um, One thing, Shadow. Contrary to popular belief, he was actually black, and black people like dressing up tacky.
I know even Elvis, wore sparkles, and Rob Schneider's suits lately are freaking hysterically sparkly, but in a
Okay, I
different
need to
way.
look up who Rob Schneider is.
He was the character everybody hated in the original Judge Dredd, but he's one of the most
Ah,
based, awesome comedians I've ever seen. Uh, well, the shit you do wrong causes anger. The emotion of anger seems to help people with memory issues.
that is true. Even
Elvis
if
was
I'm not a
gay.
spiteful person, I'm
No, I
really
just
good
I
at.
just caveat. I just
Even if
caveated
I'm not a
that.
spiteful
Owen.
person, I'm really good at
Uh,
remember what do you call it. Yeah, shit people have done that. Like I wish I could punch their face off of from.
yeah, it's pretty hard to prosecute Elvis or Michael Jackson. Just saying, and even that don't even mean shit. With that kind of money, it's really easy for someone to go here. Here's $100,000. Shut up and go away.
Yeah, basically,
I,
as
I, I don't
Wolfman
believe in
said,
the
he
justice
was found
system either.
innocent, but to specifically, he was found innocent in the criminal prosecution.
Hmm.
What do you call it? The civil lawsuit was settled because his Sony and the insurance firm said they would pay it, even if because he needed to go back on tour according to them, and Michael Jackson folded and
You're right.
regretted
That's
it because he wanted it to go to court actually.
Eldrad. Come on.
No, Elton John wasn't gay.
There's a medium, trust me, if I could wear or could afford, or I mean I can, um Armani suits to the show, hanging out with you guys, that wouldn't go over very well. I've always been kind of a jeans and t-shirt guy all my life. I have ironed exactly two articles of clothing in my life, and I want to keep it that way. um
Yeah, my thing about Elton John, and that's a joke I like to make because it makes, well, it doesn't make people angry, but it makes some people annoyed that, like, Elton John isn't gay. He's just a woman who transited over to a man and then married a man.
I never heard that one before, and I've got I got nothing. You could be
Yeah.
100% right, and it would not shocked or
because
surprised me one tiny little bit.
Elton John has always been like that kind of toppy, a weird toppy build.
Hmm. And yes, LA sheriffs were known for hiding stuff about celebrities and politicians and anybody else with the money to pay. LA just absolutely insanely corrupt the entire time I've lived in California, which has been, almost 60 years.
To be fair, they never said what kind of angel Los Angeles was. If it was a fallen angel, if it was
Clearly, well,
yeah,
absolutely, clearly.
in the city
Next,
of
you're going to say
fallen angels.
Liberace was gay. Never met the guy, but it tracks. David Bowie wore what he thought would sell tickets and albums, and yet, what was it? Mick Jagger's wife said she caught Mick and David Bowie in bed together. So, do I
I
believe
always
her,
thought
or
David
do I?
Bowie was bi, or there was at least a mythos that he was everything with a pulse, but not like I'm fucking everything kind of way.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I am transgender. I identify as a skinny person. Trans slender. Nice. I see what you did there. Yeah. And personally, I really don't give a shit. It's just that I was raised a certain way, that men are supposed to be a certain way and women are supposed to be another way, and that's it. But clearly, as
Yeah. And Shadow, I don't mind uniforms, and I don't mind gender-based uniforms. That's my opinion of it all. Because
mm,
like we
I
dress different for a reason.
yeah, I had an ex girlfriend who was in the Marine Corps, and her dress blue skirt uniform was on point. Just saying, if they're cute and handsome and dreamy, dude, probably not straight. Thank you, Grandma. Uh, would any of you take $1 million to cover up the fact that you or your child was molested? Not in a fucking minute, Janet. Not only that, I'd be that dad by the payphone. Just saying. Um,
Yeah, it also the problem with that is
Whatever it took, I would be that
children
dad.
understand revenge. That's why will not have to beat it out on it, but that's why we have to teach them when revenge is appropriate. So if your child has been damaged or hurt like that, let's go with hurt, even if it's an understatement. If you don't do anything and just like retreat, what lesson are you teaching them? I
Or,
know
or,
that.
or like Janet says, take the money.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
like,
I consider retreating.
hey, well, what do you tell the kid when you take the check? Oh, this is for you, but it's going in my bank until you're old enough, right?
Yeah,
Or if they are old enough, here's $1 million. To them, it's going to go to freaking heroin the next day, or whatever it is they've been doing to deal with that kind of trauma,
yeah.
and how does that make it all better? It doesn't. No amount of money can do that. I saw something the other day uh, that I didn't know. There are people, and it's going to get gross, and I'm going to try and be as
Okay.
quick and painless about it. There are people who do the same thing to animals.
Yes.
Did you know that when they find that out, they put the animals down?
Yes.
I did not know that. It didn't even occur to me. I did just figured, whatever. But the reason why is because the trauma done to them mentally, supposedly, is like almost worse. And they become just absolutely, destroyed.
Yeah.
And if we think about it like that, not even remotely thinking,
Wait, when you
we
say the
should,
animals, did you mean the victims or the people who did it to the animals?
the victims.
Okay.
Exactly, Grandma. Uh, so so the damage that's done to the people like that has got to be, not worthy of destruction, but so bad that only through our superior faculties can we overcome it. Even though uh, I don't think they ever recover fully. I
Yeah.
know I don't know, but uh,
And that is
What?
true. What do you call it, Janet? Both directly and more complexly, as in they're poor and they don't want to take, they don't can or don't want to take care of them. But yeah, there's also like literally they just sell their kids.
Hmm. I know, Jan. And that's why they're not compatible with Western culture. To even call them a culture is uh, debatable.
Well, one of the word culture mean is like when you have like a dish of like bacteria that's formed
Thank
into
you.
a culture, but that
I
means
was
they're
hoping that's
uniform.
where you were going with that because it's the fact that we haven't just put a stop to that in the most permanent way possible.
Yeah.
Uh, you're gonna have to be a little bit more. Yes, Janet. Yes,
Also,
absolutely.
yes, Janet.
How about those fantasy settings? Nice, Chris. Nice. Yeah,
Yeah, that is one
you know,
ironic.
two times in a row. If I put down on any part of the video, uh, what I want to talk about, we're not going to talk about that. Um, it is just, it's like the kiss of death.
Yeah,
Um,
I will say though, I didn't check the title when I jump in. I just saw what do you call it? Oh, they probably want me to be in here instead of in the chat. But yeah,
um,
uh, but yeah, about fantasy sevening, I actually have a leeway into that with what we are talking about. So a lot of us use fantasy either as entertainment or like escapist or like a fulfillment of greater ideals.
mhm.
But an ironic part about fantasy that is, if you actually take some of the evil of the world, um, it would either be too much for players or they wouldn't believe it. And I'm not just referring to India, but like other cultures who do a lot of evil stuff, even
Mhm.
nowadays. But if you included that, what do you call it? Like I said, in fantasy settings, yes, it would either be too much or the players wouldn't believe it.
Yeah. I right now I'm struggling with uh, trying to have the right people at the right table, you know, or be myself at the right table,
Yeah,
because it seems like uh, a lot of people either want, expect, or project a game to be a certain way,
yeah,
and when it actually gets, people get to the table, uh, most games tend to devolve to this lowest setting of, okay, we are gaming, but we've actually got to cater to the lowest common denominator, because you never know who is going to feel a certain way or not when game time actually shows up. You got your hardcore role players, your people who revile that and only want a adventure game, and you get your people in the middle, let's say, all wanting, to do something, now that they're there. And if people were just honest
yeah,
on every level, referee, players, I want this, I want that. Okay, you're not doing that. Okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. Sorry, no harm, no foul. I want to run this. You're not into it. Don't show up. Just because you were invited doesn't mean you're a good fit.
yeah. I have noticed that. And it's not all players who should say that you can put through the forge of fire, and they start fitting into the group. And also, I agree with Bane. I like destroying evil in fantasy worlds.
Sorry, what was that again?
Oh, it was a reference to the one you put up just there. That yes, I do also like to destroy evil in fantasy worlds.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, that's That's why I got in to the hobby in the very beginning. I grew up, reading comic books, superhero comic books. There were no anti-heroes back then. It was all about being a hero one way or another, or reading Doc Savage and the Shadow novels, or things like that. I didn't know there was such a thing as fantasy until '77, and even then it was like kind of sketchy. It was like kind of sci-fi but low tech and high
And
tech
uh,
at the
and
same time.
that's not how should we say abnormal for an American, because it was first like when Discworld and Wheel of Time. I can't never remember which one is which, but then like when that got popular, how should we say that the modern fantasy became a thing in the U.S. and people like starting finding all the other fantasy writers also, who
Thanks,
then got
Janet.
rebranded as fantasy
Hmm. Hmm.
or young adult
And
fantasy.
right. I never do put in my games those things. There's none of that stuff will be in my games. I try to avoid, even the obvious, almost like childlike, ignorance of such evil behaviors, because like most of my worlds do not have the Earth equivalent of male over female dominance in the culture. It's really rather 50-50. There's none of the superstition about having women on a boat kind of thing, and women, can be any, you know, profession or class, blah blah blah, because the world I'm running is uh, been shoved to a bottleneck through the flooding of the world. So everybody's got to pitch in kind of mentality. And I find, am I back yet? Am I back yet?
You're
Okay.
back yet, and finish, and then I would like to address RPG Ranmar.
Okay. I find all those uh, sort of earth-based, stereotypical, men are here, women are here. That's an earth thing. I don't think or know that it would be that way on a different fantasy world. And guess what? Since I'm in charge of making it, I don't really want it because I don't want my games to be nothing but a freaking sausage fest like the Lord of the Rings movie, where they have to shoehorn a woman in just to remind you that women exist on the planet.
Yeah.
They should be everywhere, and I want to see them. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see them, all in a burqa or what have you. Uh, I wanted to see them more like a John Carter comic book, if you know what I mean.
I unfortunately can't go that route for you. They will have clothes, even if it's either unisex or what do you call it, dresses and the like. They will not have
That's I said that's what I want. That's not necessarily what I always do.
yeah.
But if she's like a queen or a princess or something, you can guarantee that that's the way it's going to be. Sorry, but if you don't like it, you're gay or a woman. And you were going to
So
say?
yeah, RPG drama. I agree uh, with that. But I will also say I come from like a Pathfinder background, so my only really issue, like with the 4 hours of straight combat, is if the players don't think ahead of the other players, or the players don't think ahead what they want to do. But concerning the haggling and thing and so forth, yeah, that's usually also a thing I like to have like done out. Well, not so much done out of character, but like we don't haggle in character. We like abridge it if we're saying like what our character do. And but I also have like what we call it a chat in my Discord called shopping slaves for all the off-screen purchases and so forth.
Yeah, I don't even go that far. It's like you got the books, you got the lists, buy whatever you want. If it's not there, ask me. They always have everything you're looking for. I don't freaking care. I want to get on with the other
Yeah.
stuff. Just make sure you can carry it. If I look at your character sheet and there's like 90 different items on it, I'm like, yeah, you can't carry that.
Yeah,
And
you,
you don't
you
have
you
any
need you
henchmen
need
or
to get some
NPCs.
mules and some cards, and then you're not getting it down in the dungeon.
Mhm.
But yeah, I agree with you, RPG Jan, more that that not preferably not so much time on combat, and preferably not so much time on hackling, even if logistic is fun. But logistic is also about getting
That's
to a place.
Eldred. What you wrote is literally like every game. Not saying it in a bad way at all. That should just be like,
It
it's
works.
kind of the beginning. You don't have to have like I do. The world that I'm running right now on Sundays, it was like a quasi high tech, high magic world. Different nations had different approaches to, advancing their technology or their society. Some did it through nuclear fission, and some did it through, 10th level magic user spells. And then they got into a big war, and they screwed over the planet, melted the ice caps, flooded the planet, and now there's very little land mass left. Uh, and what are the players going to make of it? But there's a whole bunch of other possibilities out there that aren't your stereotypical medieval European freaking pastiche of just cut and paste. Everything looks like, if you tell me it looks like, like Italy, I'm like, I'm out. Come on, do better. Don't just pull from the world history book and lessons that you took, or your experiences. Describe that it looks like Italy without telling me it looks like Italy. You know what I mean? Because I might never figure it out, and that's what I should want. The way you describe it and the way I imagine it should be completely different things.
So
You know
you
what I
don't
mean?
like it when people like write a guide and they're like, okay, it's when they like make a small one-line description and like, okay, imagine fantasy X. You don't like it. You want them to describe the area just and leave that out.
A little more than just relying on, you see some, like either the architecture, or it's they're Mongols, okay, and you're telling me they look like Mongols, or they look like Vikings. Could you be any lazier at this? I mean,
Actually, yes, but go ahead.
you know what I mean? Uh, Describe them, but make some changes. Make them yours. Don't make them, just a copy of something that's worked for generations. So you don't need to do the work. You can just borrow this thing, whether it be a person, place, or thing. Make it your own. Change it. Maybe they are wearing furs, right? But make all the furs green, because the animal that they cut the furs off is actually a green animal, and the horns, instead of them having the two freaking stereotypical, operatic, bull horns here, give them like four horns, or like a freaking, like a porcupine of horns, or something crazy like that.
That
No, just
yeah.
you know
That
here's
reminds me.
blood.
So my setting is kind of like a new world setting, and
What's up, brother?
and
Hey,
the half elves are like their own race. But that aside, what I do different for like their clothes is the British military and like a naval uniform and so forth, and all the other naval uniforms other than their uniform. The only thing that's actually uniform about the half elves clothing when they're like an officer or something is their scarf, because they like different clothes a little too much, so it's hard to get them all in the same uniform.
Mhm.
And hey, Bloodworks, how's it going?
hey, how's it going?
Long
Yeah,
time
sorry
no
about
see.
that earlier, Shadow.
Don't
Like
sweat it, man. Don't sweat
I
it.
was listening
It
to
was
you
weird
going
because
in, and I was like, oh, let me just try to jump in, and then I was doing voice to text, and then freaking, the Turkish
work.
agenda. I don't know what the Turkish agenda was from. It's like
It was weird
crazy.
because I was picturing like your phone wasn't letting you work unless you were in the car, like so many people do those car
Yeah,
videos.
no, it's actually the exact opposite sometimes. If
Right, I
you're in
figured
the
that because it
car,
doesn't make
it won't,
sense.
even if you're a passenger, it won't let you do anything. So
Because
it,
you're
it
moving
was
and it's harder to get a lock
But
on the signal.
it's why I don't stream when I'm driving, is because it
Mhm.
just doesn't work, and I don't try to text when I'm driving or do any
Well,
of
you're
that
not.
stuff.
As far as I know, in a lot of places that's illegal.
Well, yeah,
Uh, Dangerous as hell. And let me ask you a quick question. Where you guys live, is it legal to have any sort of like headphones or things plugged into your ear so you can hear what you're listening to on the radio or your phone?
I don't
Is
believe
that
so.
legal?
No.
I don't actually know if you're allowed to have it in one ear or not.
Uh,
I
'Cause
haven't taken my driver's license yet.
I remember being with someone who got pulled over because the cop could see there was something in their ear, and that's, or at least out here, mind you, it's illegal to. Well, anyways, that you can't have anything in your ears because it can be deemed as a complete distraction from being able to hear honking of horn, car noises, sirens for the police.
One ear is okay because that's usually your hands-free device is in your ear, but both
Mhm.
ears, no. In New
Oh,
York,
well, yeah,
I
but I mean,
guarantee you, if you had like headphones on, you get pulled over.
right, and see, how does the cop know you don't have them in both ears unless he stops you? So the best way to prevent that is just to say you can't wear anything in your ears, because
Mm.
otherwise every cop is going to stop everybody when they see that to make sure you've only got one. That's a
Mhm.
waste of my.
Shadow cop's gonna stop you anyway. It's just a cop thing.
Okay, smart ass.
Yeah, that's true too.
It just I would rather them err on the side of caution, and just say you can't wear anything in your ears, especially if it's the ear that's facing the window. I mean,
Mhm.
if you're going to do it, at least be smart and put it in your right ear so that the cop can't see it and have a reason to stop you. And you can still technically, maybe that ear can hear, what's going on outside your car window, so that if an ambulance is coming up behind you or a fire engine, you don't get freaking, smacked by them, a cop car coming at breakneck speed chasing somebody down, because to get the heck out of the way.
They'll do it sometimes just because they're bored. My daughter got pulled
Or
over
because it's a
because her
pretty, or because it's a pretty girl. I
yeah,
used to
my
work with a
daughter
lot
got
of
pulled
police
over one
officers.
time because her automatic high beams went on. So he pulled her over. He came from behind. He pulled her over, and he said, "Are you driving with your high beams on?" She says, "They're automatic. If the car was on the other coming towards me, they would have automatically shut off." He was like, "Oh yeah, I was just checking." He came from behind. He never, that's the only reason why the high beams were on. But they know that. I was like,
Yeah,
"No, he was just
here
bored."
in California, if you are a blonde in a convertible, you're getting pulled over.
Mm.
That's just get used to it. It doesn't matter what you could literally have the FBI come out, check your car, make sure it's good, and then being a blonde woman, get in the car. As soon as you get on the road, you're getting pulled over just cause.
Shadow, does your hair count as blonde or?
Nah, I don't drive, so it doesn't
Okay.
matter. And I don't have a convertible anymore. My humans have pointed ears, and my elves have round ears. Okay, cool. Make it different. Make it your own. Like my elves, uh, high elves have blue skin. Wood elves have green skin. Gray elves and drow have like purple to lavender skin. So right off the bat, they're all kinds of different from Tolkien and other kinds of elves. So I do whatever the hell I want with them,
Mhm.
because why not? You know, I mean, I've always, why won't this go away? I've always thought when I'm running a game, or getting ready to run a game, or doing some world building, I want to think about it. If someone was ever going to make a movie of it, right? Or a TV show or a cartoon, how can I make it visually striking enough to not be kind of the same old, same old? You ever watch like fantasy or medieval stories or movies, and you can just tell that they got all their costumes from a certain place, you know, You know what I'm talking about? It's like, God,
Yeah,
that looks
99% of fantasy movies.
right. And there's nothing ever. It's just like they just went to the wardrobe department on lot A, and just like in Blake 7. I
Okay,
love that
boys, get the
show.
black letter. Make sure it's not from the biker bar.
Exactly. Instead, because they can't sometimes afford the budget, and they figure people won't notice or care. That most of the peasants are wearing traditional European peasant costumes from Les Miserables or something like that. Just maybe mix and match a little, nothing unique at all. And I'm like, yeah, well, my fantasy world, probably maybe nobody ever wears white because it's incredibly impractical. Okay, or whatever, or maybe everybody is actually wearing color coded costumes to let other people know what they do for a living. I
Yeah.
mean, that would have made a lot of sense, somewhat communistic in process, but if all the cobblers wore green or yellow, so that, hey, that's what they do. You can see them a mile away in town in a crowded freaking city street. It's like, hey, there's a guy wearing yellow. Quick, go get him. We need someone to fix our boots. You know,
So
would
I
save.
think Wolfbane has a question for the both of you. The one about the copycat cultures. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, does that work for you, Eldred? Just thinking of how you could make it visually striking and not look like everything else. I talk about a lot of the things that they can see in the way of terrain. Like maybe take the time to draw up some crazy ass trees. Your planet has no pine trees, but instead it's got these kind of trees or that kind of trees. Just like maybe find a 12-year-old kid and tell them to draw like a weird tree, and then work with that or something. Just make them totally different so that like creating Dagobah in the Star Wars movie. They had to go out of their way to make that place look weird, right? Or maybe make up some animals, just like instead of rabbits, they've got this other thing. Well, maybe they eat a lot more reptiles, or maybe the rabbits are blue. Change things up and make them vastly different, so it just doesn't feel you know uninteresting. Maybe there's other kinds of livestock and cattle and horses. Even the six-legged horse, like Odin rode around, or was it eight-legged? Actually having those as just a regular everyday horse, or maybe it's a breed of horse that you can get for a little bit extra more, a little bit more money. You can get that six-legged horse that's really freaking fast, or little things like that to make your world not identical to a huge portion of the fantasy worlds out there. No one's ever going to complain. They're going to just go, well, that's a trip. That's weird. They're never going to go, oh, I hate it. It's not Earth-like enough. You're never going to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've said in the past, tropes are tropes for a reason.
Mhm.
If it wasn't working, they wouldn't become tropes. And
Certainly,
you know,
certainly. But you'll also notice that our tropes from like our generation
mhm.
are also disappearing amongst the younger generations. The things that they're doing, the art style that they tend to like is very cartoony and very, we might even call immature, but they freaking love the hell out of it. It would be like their opinion of our Johnny Quest and Scooby Doo is like their version of that is now uh, Adventure Time or cartoons like that. That's what they kind of want. And
Real quick, I will have to head out and fix up dinner.
Well, you have a good
You guys,
one. Good to see you.
you too.
all right, take care, Dean.
Um,
Thanks for showing up.
You're welcome.
I think that in the future and going forward, we're going to see. I don't know if you've watched any of the more recent Kickstarters that have been coming out for new fantasy and sci-fi games and things like that. I'm seeing a trend toward art styles that I don't like, but they're selling like hotcakes amongst the younger players for a reason.
Yeah,
Because
I guess.
maybe they're like looking at our Lord of the Rings and our Excalibur like old and tired and boring, and they want something more fantastic.
I remember. I remember one time I was getting into a back and forth with another YouTuber. I won't mention his name just to not cause any drama.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, the problem with the old school is that it's just a simple black and white, and that's not flashy enough, or that's
Mhm.
not going to gain a new audience." And he just said like there is no black and white that artwork that is even remotely comparable
Yeah, you
to
pointed him to Shadow Dark, of course.
color, right? No, he was complaining about old school D&D. He was complaining about first
Oh,
edition D&D
oh, okay.
and the art in its books. He says the art in its books was all trash, absolute trash.
Mhm.
He says there's no way that simple art style was comparable or better than anything that came out in the modern era. And it was like, well, it was, in some cases it was very evocative though. It made you think. It gave you a sense of reality. It was like if you compare the color art in tattoos compared to what they can accomplish in just black, or black and gray,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
kind of style. It was like there's a reason why color is cheaper to get in tattoos than the black and gray, because you have to have much more skill level in order to
Mhm.
pull off the black and gray.
Oh yeah, just look at
You know,
Savage Sword of Conan.
yeah, but so
There's
I
that
was
great.
like, no, it's like sure you like the art in a particular in a TTRPG book, you like the art in it, but how many times are you going to look at it? You're going to see it once, twice, third time. After that, after a year of playing, you don't even pay
Well,
attention to what the art
I
is in
was
there.
actually going to go and remind you of that classic picture because I talk about it every once in a while in the DMG where it shows the like the fighter he's like banging on a door to get out. The
Hmm.
room's filling up with water, and the
Hmm.
skeleton's
Right.
coming up behind him from out of the water. That picture, I mean, maybe you could draw it better, even in black and white, or even in color. In color would ruin the mood and the tone of what you're supposed to feel
Yeah.
when you see that picture. It's trying to elicit a feeling of dread and fear and
Hmm.
panic. And it would be very hard to do that without like maybe showing the guy's face and he's crying and he's screaming. We get it. Okay. We
Right.
don't need that. And we didn't need that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if new projects were literally forced to spend less than X to get their project done, which is what Gygax had to do. He had the smallest budget in the history of games
Mhm.
to get his message across, and he
Right.
still did it probably under budget, and people were actually able to get paid. Now, when they do these things, everything is either cheaper because of advancements, or they have the backing and the budget to do whatever it takes. So it's unfair
Oh,
unfair comparisons based on technology and availability and the resources available.
yeah. You just faded off for a second. you blinked.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah. So it's. I mean, it's just a matter of taste and just you have to
exactly.
realize that if it's in a printed book, how many times are you going to look at the art? You're really not. After the third time, fourth time seeing it, you're not seeing it anymore. It's like you don't even notice it. You're flipping by, getting to what you're looking to read, rather than what you were looking to, what you were looking to just take a glance at. The other point you were making earlier in your earlier video that I wanted to respond to too was like, using the preset worlds,
Mhm.
for your role playing. I like using preset worlds, but not during the same time frame that they're set
Mhm.
for, right? So
Mhm.
like a Greyhawk campaign, I'm starting it in 598, which is after the recorded history, basically, which was around like 596. So I give it a little bit of
Okay.
cushion since then, and then that way I can alter things without stepping on the established lore.
Sure.
I
Sure.
can include hintings of the history of the place to bring those, to either allow those that are reminisce of it, almost like Easter eggs that oh
Mhm.
yeah, I've heard of this before, but also dramatically alter other aspects that still fits within the possibility of that lore without without overturning it too far.
Mhm.
So I do like using but very very limited. It's got to be a like I like Greyhawk because Greyhawk has enough gaps in it
Mhm.
that it's not overly burdensome to try to stick something in there. It has plenty of room within it, plenty of flexibility within it that you can set Greyhawk, a campaign in the Greyhawk setting and not worry about it. Worry about the campaign getting burdened by the lure of the place,
Mhm. I ran
nor do
Greyhawk
you.
myself for 2 or 3 years when I was a youngster, when the like the peachy folder
Mhm.
Greyhawk came out. I had the map up on a cork board with I took like thumbtacks and marked out the nations with yarn
Mhm.
so you could see it, and I'd have thumbtacks for different dungeons and where the players were, and I did all that, and we all probably have at least a half a dozen IPs that we love, right?
Mhm.
Other people's worlds that like for example, I'd run John Carter's Mars or Mutant Chronicles Warzone or other things that I like, but they tend to be like really niche and not too many people want to get into a 2 year long campaign of Mars.
Mhm.
Um, it's not conducive to the traditional adventure gaming aesthetics and things that appeal to those players. There's really no need to go in dungeons looking for treasure and magic items because for the most part there really aren't, and they don't really hold any kind of value or power. So
Right.
it's very popular. But there's other ones that, in other worlds and places that are. But when you're going to make your own world, when you finally, decide, what, I'm going to make my own world because I'm just not getting the right itches scratched, if you will. Uh, that's when I think, I think Gygax said it himself that you need to publish and produce things of your own to truly be like a master. You know what I mean? And
Right.
top of the top. You got to
But
put
that's
out something.
that's kind of a self-serving thing, and that's the one thing. When I read you
Mhm.
know, his game mastery book, because that's where he makes that statement. He basically goes through the whole thing like, well, you won't become a game master until a true master of game mastery
Mhm.
until you start running games. Okay, that makes sense. And he
Mhm.
says, and you won't become a master of game mastery until you run public games. Then he goes, then you have to run convention games. Then you have to run tournament games. Then you have to
And
run
non fantasy games and
right. Well,
then
yeah.
public.
Then you have to run different games. Correct. I mean, and so far I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. Then you really can't game master until you publish. And I was like, wait, well, one has nothing to do with the other. You know what I'm saying?
Doesn't
It's
it though?
like,
In academia, don't you have to publish something in certain areas of academia to get to the next level? whether it be physics, psychology, um, to be recognized above, the normal heights.
But it has nothing to do with the actual act. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with the actual act.
Well, I think he should have. I think he should have maybe said, "And it sells really, really, really well." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
No,
then
well, no, it's
that
no.
would be
The
a
the thing
judgment of
was that it
how
was
well it was.
it was like, okay, so only those that published are true masters of game mastery, which again, it's two separate things.
Mhm.
You could be a terrible game master at the table and yet still publish something that works well.
Right, and today with print on demand, anybody can print anything, which
Yeah.
kind of invalidates
So
that to an
so
extent.
I
But
don't see it as I don't see it as a requirement. It was one of the things that he said in that book that I was like, no, that's not necessary. And it struck me as being somewhat self-serving, somewhat
but at the same
self-aggrandizing.
time, if at the same time, if somebody does all the aforementioned things and is really really good at them, and then they publish, that
Mhm.
is a feather in the cap.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting more success, and maybe even needing success on a wider scope instead of just your local game and tournaments and conventions. Maybe you have a desire for some sort of fame in your field.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it came off as, well, sure, you're going to believe that because you're virtually the one in
Like
five
the only
people who have done it all. I'm saying it's like,
sure.
so it just is. I don't think that it's a prerequisite
No, no,
of
it's just
achievement.
like it's like icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's a nice to have, but I mean, even
Mhm.
you know, virtually my master's degree thesis had literally nothing to do with actually teaching. Most of the coursework I did for actually teaching did not prepare me at all for actually teaching. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was all just strictly academic book learning and academic
Mhm.
theory, but in practice, 90% of it fell apart in practice.
Mhm.
In the classroom, it all fell apart. And that's why it's like I don't look at that. Oh, so you published? Who cares? It literally means nothing. Um,
Well, it means less
as
now, but
far as determining whether or not you can do,
mhm.
it's like, when they say, sometimes they'll say, those who cannot do teach. Well, uh, those that can teach sometimes do because they don't know how to relay that information over either. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to
Sure.
transmit what they do know, so that others can pick up on it.
Yeah, it
So
was like
everything
kind
has
of
its
like.
own, its own little niche
Do you
within.
remember in Black Book, Digest Traveler, there was that skill called instruction, and it was one of the
Yeah,
most sought after skills in the whole, next to Jack of all trades, uh, because it was almost like the opposite of that, where it
yeah,
allowed you to impart other skills to other people, and
yeah,
without that, you couldn't teach them those skills. But with it, you became the most sought after character in the
yeah,
game because you could then, learn any skill normally and then teach it to other people so that they could get it almost for free.
yeah.
You know, I remember
I mean,
back.
that's why D&D had a built-in, or AD&D certainly had a built-in structure of mentorship. You know, you had to have somebody that was what, like 3 levels above you, that can train
Mhm,
you. You know,
mhm.
and right, it might even have been 5.
Not
So
just in the game world, but literally in playing the game. I learned D&D initially from someone who'd been playing for a while. I didn't know anything about the game, and I played in their game, and then I'm like, okay, I got to a certain point where they couldn't teach me anymore, and it wasn't that they couldn't teach me anymore, is that they had read the book and learned that Gygax literally instructed the DM to not only lie to his players but to misdirect them and literally risk getting their ass beat at the table for doing things that if you had ever done at my table, you would have gotten literally physically harmed for being so dishonest and literally lying to a player's face, which appeared to the average player as cheating. It's like where it says to lie to the players about the potion of poison and get them to try to drink it.
Yeah.
That you should have got punched if you ever did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you did that today, in an open game like shop, or at a tournament, uh, someone could literally and would be kind of right in saying, "Step outside. This is going down." You know what I mean? Because in normal everywhere else, if you did that, you're the bad guy,
Right.
and you shouldn't do that as a GM. I don't know what he was thinking, but maybe where he played, things were different, and there was some sort of social contract to where the GM didn't have to adhere to the social contract. I don't know.
That's one of the most provocative is that right? Bowling alleys and barbershops. Yes, that's hilarious.
I don't know what FOS is.
Full of shit.
Oh,
I'll be right back. I gotta sort myself out here in my.
I've never
office.
actually seen that. I've seen a lot of, but I've never seen FOS.
Yeah,
I,
I knew
I've never seen
immediately
that
what
one.
it was. I just wanted to double check to make sure that he was talking about himself. I was like, "Whoa, is somebody attacking Eldred?" But no, he
No,
was
no, no.
talking about
Eldridge,
himself.
a funny guy,
So,
who himself has published multiple things on Drive Through, I believe, elsewhere. Um, uh, I don't know. Back to world building. I think everybody eventually comes around to wanting to make their own world, and or at least most of the people I've met over the years that really wanted to exercise as much of their innate creativity as possible.
yeah, 95% of what prevents me from making my own world and running campaigns in my own world is that I do not have any ability to make a map. I have zero ability to make a map. Whether it's looking at Encarta, I'm like, I can't wrap my head around that.
Mhm.
I just cannot make maps. So that
You,
is
you
the
know,
number one thing that stops me from making my own campaign world. But even then, I mean, I like so much stuff from the fantasy fiction that it's like I would make a world. I've made a world before, and I used to use some of those like what was it, Agaza's map maker or whatever, and it just makes a
Mhm.
very simple hex map. And how do I populate the world religions with Hyborian gods, right? So it has
Mhm.
Mitra. It doesn't have Crom. I always drop off Crom, but it'll have Mitra. It'll have Dakarta. It'll have all those things that I get from Robert E. Howard, and I basically just reskinning the Hyborian age world map with another, fabricated map, but pretty much maintaining the same cultural things. I'm like, well, if that's what I'm going to end up doing anyway, then I might world map and then just take their world setting and just alter it to fit what's going on in the campaign, but outside of its timeline. Or in holes within its timeline where I can go, all right, there was nothing going on here for 400 years. That's where I'm going to put the party. They'll just be outside influences or whatever, but I can pretty much put them in their own world. Most of the worlds that I like to do are going to be human centric worlds as well. And that's something that if I have to fabricate that anyway, then I might as well just use what's out there, because most of the worlds that I like using anyway are human centric worlds. Greyhawk is a human centric world. Demi-humans only amount to, for the most part, about 10% of the world population. So it just, I just fall on that. If I'm using Hyperborea, all right, then that's going to be 100%. The one thing I'm not crazy about Hyperborea third edition, and probably it's the previous editions, is that it seems out of place to have all of those real world cultures. It would be better to say that these are Viking like or Eskimo like.
That was kind of a big part of my dislike it as well, because if it's literally supposed to be in the future, it's a sci-fi fantasy world, akin to Dying Earth, then those cultures died off, and why would they
Yeah,
be here? Why would someone go back in the past to 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 round up some Vikings to repopulate their little floating island out by Saturn when they
yeah,
could just like create new things and literally make new cultures? Because if you think about it, most of those older cultures, um, the only thing that was different about them was how they dressed
yeah.
and what they could eat based on the food available. So they had different dishes of food,
Hmm.
because maybe they didn't have cows or pigs or sheep or whatever, but they had a lot of this or that and fish and rice or whatever, right? And the
Hmm.
way they dressed based on the climate and also the available materials and them just wanting to make clothes that look different. You're going to always have cultures where they dress almost entirely in furs and skins, right?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
well, why then do they have to wear the stereotypical helmet with the two freaking bull
Horns.
horns on
Yeah.
it? Right? Why do you think that's going to keep reoccurring throughout the passage of time? Why not have
Actually, that
something?
didn't even occur in the time. That was a Hollywood
Yeah,
fabrication.
right. But most people don't know that, and they still use and run with that. Your Vikings could literally, uh, be insanely different from the stereotype, and people would still enjoy them just as much, and maybe even be more afraid of them because you just didn't put a name on them that we all know and have become sort of immune to. Back then, when you said Vikings, people got scared and moved,
Yeah.
right? Like the Reavers in Firefly. We
Yeah.
didn't know shit about them. They were terrifying.
Mm.
The first 14 episodes. Then the movie came out, and no longer are we terrified because now
Well, no,
we
you
understand.
still should have been terrified of them because
You were certainly, but by the
yeah,
end of the movie, you weren't really. It's like, oh, now we know what they are. They were
yeah,
just this or just that. Well, you never give them that. That's what ruined the Alien franchise. Was making the full blown picture and diagrams of the alien, the xenomorph. Once we got a good look at him, we could look at him and go, oh, okay, it's just white background. Here's the monster. Oh, okay, it's no longer scary.
hmm,
And you take away those shadows, that darkness, that unknowing, the sense of not having all the answers. You keep them scary, you keep them interesting and viable. As soon as you pull back the curtain, nobody cares anymore.
yeah. All right. So let's see. Let me check my time. Work
Take
mode.
care, Eldred. Yeah, I'm gonna have to shut her down in like 15 minutes anyway. So
Yeah.
if you have to leave, don't
So
worry about it.
yeah, so that was really interesting. I listened through that first one, and I was like, all right, let me jump in on this and try to
Speaking
talk
of
a
which,
little
I'm
bit
gonna
to
jump in
that.
on the one you
Um,
the
I
one
just
you
threw up a
invited me
video
to.
talking about why I like to focus on just the old school tabletop role playing games. Why that is the the place that I will always keep on gravitating to, keep on making content for, regardless of, who's watching, who's not watching, how
Mhm.
many hits it gets, how many whatever it does. I'm still going to do
Never
the
cared
same
about
thing.
those things.
You know, I'm,
I talk about a lot of games that nobody's ever heard of, and
yeah.
that's why I'm going to jump in on, and I'm going to make an actual response video to that. But I was looking for
Yeah.
your video of that, and I couldn't find it.
Well, no, it took because when the way that the system works when you're doing those collaborations is that while you're creating, the steps for the upload, that is one of the early steps in the upload. I don't know how to do a collaboration
After the
invite after it's already uploaded.
Oh, you do it the same way. You go into edit, and you go into more, where it says
Okay.
and down by tags, I think it says collaborations.
Yeah, but it only shows what the collaboration is at the time, not to set up a collaboration. I don't believe so. I'll double check and see.
I could
Uh,
have swore I've done it that way and been able
okay,
to
yeah, because
collaborate.
I usually do it during the upload, and I've told people, I was like, no, you got to give it a few minutes. You got to wait till it's actually
Mhm.
done uploading, then you'll be
Okay,
able to link into it.
okay, because
Um,
I'll definitely do that because
yeah, let me see if I'm just wrong on that. So
I could have swore that you could. Maybe I'm wrong. And have
no,
you ever collaborated
no, you
on
you
one of
may
the?
be correct. I'm probably wrong. So let me
Well,
go into my.
I usually invite you. Have you collaborated on any of my videos?
Yeah, of course.
That's how I do it.
Yeah. Oh, so you do it
I
after
don't
the
do it.
fact. All right,
I
I'll
do
start
it
doing that.
post. I don't do it post. I do it pre. I mean, I don't do it pre. I do it after the fact,
Yeah, you do it after the fact.
and that's always how I've done it. So it lets me, I invite you, James, Bubba, and maybe somebody else, but nobody's coming to mind. Maybe Bear, but Bear never wants to do any of that. He's his own, one man studio.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so manage collaborations. Yes, it already shows. All right. Um uh search for channel. Yeah, you can search after the fact. All right. Got it. Yes, you're right. Oh, so now from now on I'll do that after the fact then. I'm always doing it while it's uploading. I've got people, I
Right,
can't
because
open it. So you'll be able to open it now.
cool. I'll watch the video. I'll hit the buttons,
Yeah,
and then that'll be my tomorrow morning's video.
yeah.
Because I I have I don't know about you, but I have a lot of games. A literal crap ton of games, and not just RPGs, but like board games and war games and miniature games, whatever you want to call them, that I know I'm never ever going to get to play. Never. Even if I had a shop right now downtown Los Angeles and it was
Mm,
freaking world famous, people coming from other countries, there's still games I would never get to play. You know,
mm.
uh, and because I don't have that and I've got this channel, I talk about games that, hey, maybe someday there's going to be some people who actually want to play Amber the Diceless role playing game. Or
Yeah,
someday there's going to be some people who want to play Gamma World Second Edition or Top
right.
Secret Second Edition. Old games that are just sitting on shelves that if they're never going to get played, right?
Hmm.
And our kids are never going to play them, they might as well just go to the dump now and get it over with.
Yeah.
Because I figured it out when I was moving cross country from Virginia back to California. The cost to move and store things for years and years and years and years, there's an actual cost, and it gets bigger the longer you hold on to the things, right?
Right.
And if you're never ever, if you could look forward in time and find out that no one is ever going to play Star Frontiers,
Hmm.
your copy of Star Frontiers is just going to keep sitting on shelves till the end of time or until it burns or gets thrown in a dump.
Hmm.
Why would you bother, right?
Yeah.
And it's really sad. It's actually uh like a horrible thing if you think about it, because people are making more games and more games, and we've got these old games that weren't broken when they came out. I could still run Star Frontiers right now. I could pull
Yeah.
it out and go, I'm running Star Frontiers, and if there were people interested in playing, I could run it. I could run it for a year, and we would have a blast. And nobody would buy that next new like clone of it or some
Hmm.
other game that's similar to it because we'd be playing an old game.
Right.
And if we're not going to do that, then what are we doing
Well,
with these
that's
things on the
why
shelf?
I clearly point out that that is revival. That is the R of
Hmm.
OSR, is old school revival. Different from old school Renaissance, different from old school role playing. If you are not recognizing the definition of what Renaissance is or what revival is, which I think
Hmm.
most do not, most just think that the term is interchangeable. And the words do have meanings that are unique to them.
Hmm.
So when you're talking about running Star Frontiers, Alpha Dawn, or Nighthawks, or even
Hmm.
Zeb's Guide, all right, you are talking about revival. All right,
Hmm.
you're running the original. You're running the oldest edition or one of the oldest editions. All
Hmm.
right. Now, if you're talking running a retro clone, almost all retro clones fall under Renaissance because almost all retro clones are required to have a certain percentage, roughly, of uniqueness, a certain percentage of new. They can only copy something like 80 to 90% of the old printing and everything, but they have to add something new. So, like if you look at Castles and Crusades, Castles and Crusades added two things that were not in AD&D First Edition. They added the siege engine where everything was attribute based skill
Hmm.
settings, and if you were prime, then you needed a 12 out of 20 to make it, or if it was not prime, it was 18 out of 20. So that was one unique thing that they did there. And then the
Hmm.
second was they were using ascending armor class. All right, that's all that they were required to do in order for it to be a renaissance. It's not quite. It's
Is that
far
because of
enough
like
removed to
copyright
not be
laws?
a retro clone, but it's not. It's not at all revival. You cannot call it revival.
Is that because of copyright laws or just a
Well, yeah, it's
built-in?
because of the way that the OGL worked. Was that you can copy the rules mechanics, but then just in general, you can't just make a 100% regurgitation of the original rules. That's why Osric is not promoted um, as a playable game. At least it wasn't in its first two editions. I don't know what the third edition does, but it's a rules compilation. So you're not meant to run from Osric. You're meant to refer to Osric when you're running AD&D First Edition. All right, it's a
Oh, I did not know
resource.
that.
It's a
I
reference.
did
It
not know
says
that.
it right
I
on.
have it. I did
It
not know
says it
that.
right
That's
on. It says it's a reference and compilation. All right, so it's not a game unto itself.
okay.
It's a reference. All right, a very quick
Did not
reference,
know that.
but it has none of the flavored text that makes it a playable game.
I did not know that. That's so
Yeah, try
weird.
to try to like look through Osric and see, can I run this as a standalone game system? You could, but you'd have no enjoyment doing it because it has no soul. It is literally just rules mechanics, organized very well, but it's
Hmm.
essentially just rules mechanics. It's a,
I
so
was
yeah.
wondering why when I was looking at it, Squirrel Hermit sent me his copy a few months ago, and I was looking at it and I'm like, this really just seems like stuff I've seen before. You know,
Yep, it's a compilation. It's like the rules cyclopedia. It is a compilation of all the rules from BECMI other than Immortals. But
mhm,
it's essentially just a repackaging, better organization perhaps, but a repackaging of if you had all, you know, eight or whatever number of booklets there were for basic, expert, companion, and
mhm.
master.
Yeah, I've got a copy here.
Yeah,
Not my cup
it's
of tea,
just
but
a rules compilation basically. Now that you can play from because they did build it to be run from just the rule cyclopedia. All right, but Osric is not done that way. I bring that up in my video. I actually bring it out and I was like, listen,
okay.
this is not included in there because it was never designed to be run from this book.
I wonder how many people bought it not knowing that.
I know a number of people that just say that they use it alongside when they're running AD&D first edition so they can do a real quick reference check. I personally don't do looking through the rule books when I'm running a game. I mean, you probably know that too. It's like, no, I'm not gonna deal with that. We'll deal with that after the fact and we'll see.
Yeah.
You
I've
know,
always used the, just roll a d6. You know,
yeah,
like flip a coin kind of thing.
yeah,
Uh, we've only got a very limited time. You and me and me and my other guys.
mm,
When we're playing on a weeknight after dinner, we've got a really tiny window, and it's literally like a completely different activity
yeah,
than playing in person. The things you have to do differently are are many. It's not just a
mm-hmm,
couple of little things. There's a
yeah,
whole list of etiquette and things
mm,
that most people come into those live sessions not knowing.
yeah,
It's not conducive for role playing unless everybody at the table wants to role play.
mm-hmm,
You know, being in character, talking to NPCs, etc. It's not conducive for that unless it's just going to be a role play session where people are going to be talking and not going into combat, not exploring, maybe investigating, but
yeah. Well, you should
how
have.
much?
I think you should have at least a mix of at least two of the pillars in every session.
Mhm.
So at the very least, you should have two. I mean, exploration is almost a given. I don't consider exploration just traveling,
No, no, not at all, not at
or
all.
just searching.
It's looking for
Exploration
clues.
is learning about the world. It's
Mhm.
learning about your characters and how they interact with each other. You can have exploration that is internal within the player group, um,
Yeah,
and the
kind of
character
like
group.
that scene in the Lord of the Rings movie where Boromir is training the hobbits to fight. They're
Yeah.
exploring each other.
Yes.
They're getting to know each other and
Hmm.
and interact and have fun together.
Yes.
Learning what they like about each other, what they don't,
Hmm.
how far they can trust each other,
So
how well the hobbits might be in a fight. Now that Boromir's trained them to be first level fighters, now he can trust them at the bare minimum of that,
yeah.
and they
So
can
the
trust him, and they've learned about each other. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be just like what kind of trees, what kind of birds, what's the
Mm.
mountain road look like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It could be like you said.
Yeah, it's any time that your characters are learning something about the world, about themselves, about what's going on. It's just like, every interaction they have. So social interaction pillar. Every time they're talking to an NPC or one another, because again, that's social interaction. It's
Mhm.
also exploratory happening at the same time. They're learning. They're learning about the world. So when you throw in combat as part of your game session, and I wanted to, separate combat isn't just fighting. You know what I'm saying? The combat is the interaction that takes place that determines whether or not you are fighting, are you fleeing, are you negotiating, are you
Mhm.
beating them to the point that they surrender, are you, so combat, and hopefully we keep on moving away from every battle is to the death. you know that
Mhm.
that should never be the case when you're dealing with sentient living beings. Yeah, fighting. Even
Totally agree.
vampires are intelligent enough to value their undeath. Right? They feel they're going to be
There's a
destroyed, they're
reason.
going to
There's a
flee.
reason they have the gaseous form ability.
Yes.
You know.
Or turning into a bat or doing any of that stuff. Right.
Mhm.
So, you know, 90% of the undead are mindless, and so they're going to fight to destruction every time. But certain of them, like zombies or ghouls, will literally forget about all else and start to feed on a fallen rather than turn to the next target. All right, they don't make that tactical calculation. They have
Yeah,
one motive in mind.
the reason they were fighting in the first place was to get something in their stomach,
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
It was like just to feed upon the living. And so, I've done that with you guys too. In the group, I've had the zombie. Oh, the zombie just knocked you down. He's still going to go out. He's still attacking you on the ground, not turning his attention to anything else.
Mhm.
Same thing with ghouls. They will not break from feeding
Mhm.
at that point. The other thing I
And then
did
there's
with you guys,
the
which
like
I
anger
didn't tell you
issue.
initially, was that you know when ghouls feed, they regain their hit points back. So they
Mhm.
continue doing that damage, and that damage is replenishing their hit points by doing so. That's instead of doing level drain. That's how I do it. They replenish themselves after feeding upon after feeding upon your body and then later your corpse. So rather than doing level drain, because
I like level drain because it scares the crap out of players. It
I
makes
know,
them
but
act.
letting
It
them
makes
know
them
that they're
act
going to
in a
feed
way
upon you
that's
and
into fear.
devour you and keep on replenishing their hit
Oh no!
points by
Don't get me
doing
wrong.
so, that will scare the crap out of them too.
If I level drain you, they're getting that too. It's
Yeah.
not just they took it away; they get it. If a
Yeah.
vampire takes 2 levels and those hit points, I'm going to heal him those hit points. The levels is
Yeah.
meaningless to him, but the hit points absolutely.
Mm.
But there's also, like you get two problems. Players who will kill even if the bad guys surrender. I'm guilty of it. Um, and they're just going to kill him anyways. And I don't want to give them that.
There's got to be a consequence to that though. I warned Mirador. All right, in our last session, I warned Mirador. I was like, remember, you're a lawful, a lawful good. You're serving a lawful good deity,
Mm-hmm.
and something, if a sentient being, not an undead, not a demon, not but a human being has surrendered, you know, you don't have to just be a paladin and not slaughter like that. No,
Mm-hmm.
you could be any kind of a lawful good character, and
Yep.
that will cross a line for you, especially for a priest. That will
Yeah.
cross the line for
I
you.
mean, it's essentially murder.
Yeah. No, it's essentially if they surrender and it is a sentient being and it is, I mean, yeah, we do make exceptions for like certain humanoids that are just created to destroy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you'd have a hard time doing that with, you'd have a hard time doing that with goblins, I think. Because they're, well, certainly not kobolds, because kobolds are practically neutral. I know that they're not, alignment wise, but they're usually the downtrodden. They're usually the enslaved themselves. Um, Goblins,
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent, fall into that same category, you know. But you would want to slaughter, let's say, orcs because they were created to be the scourge. Um,
Mm-hmm.
hobgoblins are particularly nasty. You might want to slaughter them out, outright. But virtually anything else is not going to fall into that
Trolls,
category, huh?
absolutely trolls. Trolls.
Yeah, trolls. Yeah, because trolls are barely sentient.
Yeah, I've seen trolls run different ways. But one of the things that I've always, or I've seen a lot in my travels, is that trolls can literally, and how they reproduce,
Hmm.
if not put to a stop,
Hmm.
would be a horrific
Yeah.
thing to deal with, by just literally, like either fission, and splitting, or by just
Hmm.
cutting off an arm and throwing it in a corner
Hmm.
and watching another troll come out.
Yeah.
You got to kill him. Sorry,
Yeah.
that you cannot have. If a DM's
Yeah,
doing
no,
that,
they're different. Like I said, there's, you have to keep on weighing those things out. Like every encounter, you're doing these various things. I mean, Tenkar just did a video earlier on today where he's talking about that. He was like, the first thing I roll is an initiative. It's a reaction roll, and it's an often forgotten rule is that anytime you're dealing with intelligent beings, you should be doing a reaction roll. And how much role play comes out of it if all of a sudden they're open to negotiation right from the get-go?
yeah, here's the thing with the reaction table. Um, if it's a wandering, if I literally have it as a wandering thing,
Hmm.
that encounter, um, I might do the reaction. But for the most part, I put them there in the world for a reason.
Hmm.
What was that reason? Are do they have orders? Have they
Yeah.
been given a mission or something like that? And that negates any random rolling of an encounter. They've been, they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Um, Now, if the players, upon first encounter, try to do something like parlay, that's different.
Yeah.
Then that would change it. But if like they see each other from 50 feet away, and the hobgoblins, have been ordered to kill anything that comes in across this line, and they see those guys across the line, well, the hobgoblins might start charging to kill them. If the
Right.
players, upon seeing the hobgoblins, fire even a single arrow or do something hostile, we're done. There's no
Yeah.
reaction. It's just combat. It may
Yeah.
take a round or two to get to melee, but it's combat.
Hmm.
Um, the idea that every single encounter uh, needs a reaction roll, to me, is just letting the dice run the game. And I put this, the situation, if they've decided to go on a mission or into a dungeon, they've bought the ticket for the railroad, and they're going to
Mm.
get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You know, before they go into the ride, it's on them what they want to do. But as soon as they sit down and the safety belt
Hmm.
bar comes down, they're on a friggin' railroad.
Yeah.
How they react, whether they're scared or happy or making, pointing at the cheap cardboard cutouts or whatever, that we'll see.
I got to run.
Me
I got
too.
to
A little
make a
over,
phone call real
but we
quick.
were having a good talk. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe.
Yep.
I'm definitely going to do a reaction to your video, but I got to watch it first.
All right.
Before I do
You
that,
have a
I
good
got
one.
to
Take care.
take care. Everybody out there in TV land watching us, thanks, guys, for sticking around, playing along. I really appreciate it. This is a good show. They're all good shows, even when it's just me, but it's better when you guys are here. I will see you guys in the morning with the reaction to Bloodworth's video, and then next week I got some stuff finishing up some of the other series or continuing them, etc. It's the Dungeons and Dragons ride. Exactly, Mike. You get it. And Mike, your box should be going out this weekend. In which case you'll see it later on in the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, because it's going out priority. Hope you enjoy it. I'll see you guys later.